Good Tuesday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to tonight's top stories, let's take a quick look outside our rainy weather window on this Tuesday. Boy, it felt like spring out there today, isn't it? We're not too far off. Low-hanging clouds around the Wenatchee Valley as we look down from our Wenatchee Heights cross camera. And yes, rain showers began about 6 or 7 this morning, and one thing that will come down, and that's our temperatures. In fact, our temperatures fell steadily this morning. We'll go even farther overnight, and that'll mean for kind of a cold Wednesday as we get you into tomorrow, and then a slow warm-up. By Friday, we'll be back around 50s, and then in the 50s to near 60 this weekend. But it's going to get wet, especially as we get into next week, and we'll tell you all about that coming up a little bit later on. Now, a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. An East Wenatchee woman is charged with 35 criminal offenses, including 5 felonies for allegedly enabling a man jailed for child stalking to contact the victim through video chats. A Wenatchee man is suspected of mugging an employee leaving Pybus Public Market late Saturday night. And charges of vehicular assault against a former Chelan Falls man were filed and quickly dropped last week after it was determined the defendant actually died in 2021. But first, our top story tonight, the East Wenatchee man who allegedly shot and wounded another man Wednesday on Valley Mall Parkway has been charged with attempted murder, along with other counts. Prosecutors on Friday charged 54-year-old Sidney Robert Van Dyke with second-degree attempted murder and first-degree assault. East Wenatchee police say Van Dyke was sitting in his parked car in the 1000 block of the Parkway when an acquaintance approached him on foot. Van Dyke was allegedly experiencing a mental health crisis, and when the other man tried to intervene, Van Dyke fired 2 shots from a handgun. The victim was struck in the chest, but not seriously wounded. Van Dyke remains held in the Chelan County Jail. He faces arraignment later this week. An East Wenatchee woman is charged with 35 criminal offenses, including 5 felonies for allegedly enabling a man jailed for child stalking to contact the victim through video chats. Douglas County Sheriff's deputies say 41-year-old Raquel Ann Langhurst facilitated video calls between the inmate, 36-year-old Kenneth Allen Crabtree, and the 13-year-old victim. At the time, Crabtree was under a court order not to contact the child, but police say Langhurst, a former roommate of Crabtree's, put money on his phone account at the Okanagan County Jail. When Crabtree would call her, Langhurst then allegedly provided her phone to the child so Crabtree could interact with her. Police say Crabtree cultivated an inappropriate relationship with the girl for months before he was arrested last September. For her alleged involvement, Douglas County prosecutors on Friday charged Langhurst with 5 felony counts of communicating with a child for immoral purposes, as well as 30 gross misdemeanor charges of violating a no-contact order. In other news, a Wenatchee man is suspected of mugging an employee leaving Pybus Public Market late Saturday night and then fleeing as police tried to catch up with him. Wenatchee police say 18-year-old James Gregory Jackson Jr. was one of 2 men who approached the victim about 10 p.m., knocked her to the ground, and seized her purse as she walked to her parked car. A police officer later caught up with one suspect, identified as Jackson, and arrested him after a foot pursuit. Jackson remains in the Chelan County Regional Justice Center. Police are seeking possible charges of first-degree robbery, obstructing police, and resisting arrest. Charges of vehicular assault against a former Chelan Falls man were filed and quickly dropped last week after it was determined the defendant actually died in 2021. The Washington State Patrol says Patrick Thomas Brighton was impaired by meth and cannabis in June of 2020 when he crashed his 1999 Cadillac Seville head-on into a landscaping company's pickup truck on Highway 2 east of Orondo. Douglas County prosecutors finally charged Brighton on March 1st with vehicular assault, reckless endangerment, and DUI. But within 24 hours, they learned Brighton passed away last year in Spokane at age 63. The charges were withdrawn on March 2nd. When we come back, the State Redistricting Commission is upset that no one will defend their legislative maps in the Federal Voting Rights Act lawsuit. A bill from State Senator Brad Hawkins to help finance housing for local workers was fully approved by the legislature on Monday. A big announcement this afternoon from the Grant County Sheriff's Office. We'll tell you about that. And the Chelan PUD is asking developers to come forward with ideas for the future of the old PUD's 5th Street headquarters. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
Traditional values and innovation in honoring the life of each family we serve is part of the ministry of Heritage Memorial Chapel. Our staff is committed to walk with your family with compassion through this time of grief. We are here to help and here to serve, the right kind of help when you need it most. Heritage Memorial Chapel.
What is home? A place to gather, a place to grow, provide shelter for the ones we love, eat, drink, restore, build trust. It's a place to rest when the workday is done, a place to find quiet after a night of good fun. What an honor we have at Guild to help own, finance, create, pave the way to live in home.
At Wenatchee Power Sports, we proudly offer the Polaris product line. Polaris builds the highest quality side-by-side in the industry, with off-road capability that's second to none. The Polaris pre-order program allows customers to purchase the vehicle they want without having to select from limited dealer inventory. The Wenatchee Valley has year-round access to some of the best ORV trails in the Northwest. Start your adventure here at Wenatchee Power Sports.
Welcome back. In another news, Washington's already messy process for redrawing its legislative maps got even messier on Monday when the State Redistricting Commission refused to defend its finalized maps in a federal lawsuit. The appointed commissioners deadlocked 2-2 on whether to respond to a lawsuit by Yakima Valley voters, which claims their maps disenfranchise Latino majorities in that area. Secretary of State Sam Hobbs and the majority leaders of the State House and Senate also say they won't put up a fight in federal court. The deadlock, with the two appointed Democrats opposing intervention in the lawsuit, led the commission's non-voting chair to resign.
There will be no state defendant defending the maps that we adopted. The result will be two private parties, along with a federal judge, who will decide this very important matter. One guarantee in that circumstance is that no one will defend the actual map itself. The court will only hear the arguments that the district must be redrawn, either based explicitly on race or to ignore race entirely. Either way, no one will be presenting the argument that bipartisan commissions like ours have the legal leeway in these really challenging circumstances to negotiate and reach compromises in future redistricting efforts.
You know, I'm proud of the work that we've done as a commission, proud of the compromise maps. You know, there is something about this process that forces folks to the middle and forces a compromise. But the maps are just that, right? The result of a compromise, not the result of our agreement around whether or not this district was VRA compliant. What I am hearing from the communities in Yakima compels me to bring their voices into this room and center the solutions that they're asking for.
A bill from State Senator Brad Hawkins to help finance housing for local workers was fully approved by the legislature on Monday and now goes to Governor Jay Inslee for his signature. The measure would expand rural counties' ability to use existing sales tax to help create workforce housing in places where it's otherwise unaffordable. No new taxes would be created. In Chelan County, Hawkins' bill would allow that money to go toward worker housing in prohibitively expensive home markets like Leavenworth, Wenatchee, Twisp, and Chelan. Hawkins said housing bills have been difficult to get through the legislature, and Senate Bill 5868 has been one of the more challenging bills of his legislative career. The bill passed 58-28 in the House and 43-6 in the Senate. Well, after 3 terms as Grant County Sheriff, Tom Jones announced today he will not seek re-election. Jones said it was a family decision not to seek a 4th term. He informed his staff of his decision yesterday. His current term expires at the end of the year. Jones has been in law enforcement for 30 years after starting with the Soap Lake Police Department. He joined the Grant County Sheriff's Office as a deputy in 1997 and was first elected sheriff in 2011. Jones is the current president of the Washington State Sheriff's Association and vice president of Washington's Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. Chelan PUD is asking developers to come forward with ideas for the future of the PUD's 5th Street headquarters. The PUD's new headquarters in Old Station is expected to be completed in mid-2023. The PUD envisions the current 7.5-acre facility on North Wenatchee as a gateway to downtown Wenatchee and the Columbia River. PUD Shared Services Director Dan Fraser said he expects developer proposals to include a mix of uses, including commercial and residential. The proposals are being submitted to the Chelan-Douglas Regional Port Authority, and the Port and PUD will meet with potential developers on site March 23rd and 30th to answer questions. Proposals are due by April 14th. The Port will identify the top proposals in May, and then PUD commissioners are expected to select a developer over the summer. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's feature story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Please stay with us.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Spring is more than just a time to clean. It's your time to renew, recharge, and spend time with the people you love. At Merry Maids, our cleaning services go beyond the basic services and provide you with a comprehensive clean that will re-energize your home and enhance your life. From everyday routine cleaning or deep cleanings, Merry Maids professional team members can provide you with an unrivaled experience. Call Merry Maids to schedule your cleaning today.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. The KPQ Home Expo, presented by Localtel, returns this Friday through Sunday after a 2-year absence because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The 2020 Home Show was one of the first events canceled because of COVID-19, with vendor booths already in place on the floor of the Town Toyota Center in March of 2020 before organizers were forced to pull the plug. It now will be one of the first events to return after the lifting of mask and vaccine mandates. In tonight's features story, Wake Up Wenatchee Valley host Dan Kuntz talked with KPQ's Steve Sandman about the return of the expo.
And we're excited. I mean, the show's been around. You've got a lot of history with the show, a lot of history with KPQ. And it's been around a lot longer than you and I have, even in our careers at KPQ. So it's, when you've been doing this for 43 years, there's a lot that people expect, and they like coming to the show, and we like putting on the show. We're excited.
It's the spring coming out party. That's what it always was. It was like you've been homebound, and when you add COVID into that, you were really homebound. But when they get together in the second weekend of March and everybody gathers at the Town Toyota Center, hey, Jerry, hi, Barb, hi, Jack, how you doing? There's a lot of that going on because you're going to see people you haven't seen in a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, people that normally go to the show, and you're running into friends that are there, and vendors who typically are there every year, plus new vendors. And people come to see them, and they haven't been able to see them in 2 years. So I think there's a lot of, it's really good to be back in this environment attitude again.
Whole 9 yards, everything, anything possibly to do with the home is there, right? I mean, you name it, it's there.
It's there. So it's not limited to, years ago it was the Home and Garden Show. And,
right.
and it's not limited to that. So it's, 160-something thousand square feet of anything you could possibly want to use for your home, inside or outside, will be there. And you get a chance to interact with them and talk about what they do and what they can do for your home. And some of them are selling products and services, and others just want to be able to talk to you to see if they can help you in the future. And we're really happy to have Localtel back as the presenting sponsor. You've been doing that a while. And you guys always have a great setup. And
quick reminder also, all of us from NCWLIFE channel will be at the home show this weekend, so stop by and say hello. Now let's take a look at your North Central Washington weather forecast. 45 degrees, our unofficial high today, and guess what? That happened at 6 a.m. this morning, and then we cooled off, and we've been struggling just to get back to 40 throughout the afternoon. 50 is our normal high temperature for this time of year. 68 record, that was in 2005. Look at that overnight low. It was a mild start this morning at 37. 32 is normal, and our record high for the fourth day in a row back in 2019, 13 degrees. We've only picked up about 2/100ths of an inch of rain so far. That's at the airport, and that gets us to 1.61 for the year. Sunrise 6:27, and the sun sets for us today at 5:56. Let's take a look at your Wednesday forecast tomorrow, and temperatures, they're going to be cold, folks. We're going to be well below normal tomorrow. 40s in the Columbia Basin for Moses Lake, Ephrata, and Quincy. Only 37 the high in Wenatchee tomorrow, 35 in Leavenworth, and 36 the high temperature in Chelan. The good news, it's going to be short-lived, and we'll get to that in a second. Tonight, clearing skies later on. After these rain showers today, we'll see some chilly overnight lows. Here's that area of low pressure as it continues to slide down really the backside of this ridge, and that'll move away from us, and that will bring us those mostly sunny skies, as we mentioned for Wednesday. Unseasonably cool, though. There's that cold air sliding all the way south into the U.S. We're talking mid-30s for our highs tomorrow. Things will get better, though, as we get into Thursday. Partly cloudy skies and warmer with highs into the lower 40s. And you can see a few clouds as well on Thursday. Once again, highs in those low 40s. For Friday, mostly cloudy skies. We're going to continue with that warm up, though. High pressure ridge is bringing the warmer air into our area. Friday highs, look at that, lower 50s. But here we go. 1-2 storm systems out in the Pacific, and that will change our weather pattern as we get late into the weekend. A 40% chance for PM rain showers on Saturday. Not so much during the day, but here we go as we click it through the day, and it kind of fills in a little bit around Washington State. Look at the size of this storm system as we get you into Sunday. Scattered showers before that moves in. Most of the rain will be in western Washington for Sunday. Going to be mild here once again with highs in the low 50s. And then on Monday, look out. It is going to be a wet one. The yellows and reds indicate heavy downpours of rain. That is going to be our scenario all through Monday. It's going to be mild, but boy, watch out for localized flooding. High temperature temperatures on Monday, once again in the lower 50s. Take a look at that 7-day forecast now. 24 overnight tonight, so a noticeable cool down as that cold front begins to move in. 37 tomorrow, 21 the overnight low for Wednesday, a bit better on Thursday, and 43, and then back into the 50s as we get into the weekend, but much wetter too. A 30% chance of rain on Sunday, and then by Monday, 51 with rain likely. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Granstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
Are you a take charge kind of person? Consider a career as a health unit coordinator. You'll work to keep health facilities running efficiently by coordinating medical providers, patients, and departments. The Charter College Certificate in Health Unit Coordinator program can get you up to speed on basic patient care, health records management, health and safety procedures, and medical billing. And the 10-month online program includes a computer you keep. Get started at chartercollege.edu, where we work to get you to work.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
And a happy Tuesday to you, but not if you're a Seahawk fan. Say it ain't so, Russ. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero first reported this morning that the Seahawks had agreed to trade Russell Wilson to Denver for draft picks and players. Later, Ian Rappaport reported that the trade included 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, and quarterback Drew Lock, defensive end Shelby Harris, and tight end Noah Fant. There's nothing official from either team or from Wilson's camp yet. Now, Wilson does have the final say in whether or not a trade happens. But right now, it looks like Russell Wilson is a Denver Bronco. Well, Gonzaga is moving on to the West Coast Conference Championship, both on the men and the women's side. The Gonzaga men reached the WCC championship game for the 25th consecutive time with an 81-71 win over San Francisco. Gales whittled a 24-point second half deficit down to 8, but could get no closer. Drew Timme led the way with 22 points. Chet Holmgren had 17. Afterwards, Coach Mark Few says there should be plenty of WCC representation for the NCAA tournament when the draw is held Sunday.
Haven't done this long enough and played so many NCAA tournament games. I mean, you recognize an NCAA tournament caliber team, and they have good bigs, like I said, exceptional guards. They can really shoot it. They play with a lot of freedom, which makes it really hard for them. Makes for a hard guard out there. If you're Andrew or Rozier or Hunter or Nolan, they have so much freedom. So yeah, I definitely. There's no doubt in my mind. So, and again, like I said, I think we're to the point now with the selection that everybody understands. If you try to schedule and attempt to schedule difficult in the non-conference, you're going to be rewarded, and they've certainly done that.
Gonzaga will face St. Mary's for the championship after they edged Santa Clara last night, 75-72. Tonight's tip at 6 on ESPN. Well, the Gonzaga women beat San Francisco 69-55 behind 16 points from Kaylin Trong and 12 from Yvonne Aijim. The Bulldogs were to face 15th-ranked BYU for today's championship. Woo! Cougars advanced with a 59-52 win over Portland. Something's flying around in here. An incredible story has been quietly unfolding at the campus of Wenatchee Valley College this year. Lady Knights basketball team has qualified for the NWAC tournament with just 6 players. They call themselves the Super Six. Back in August, program lost coach Rachel Getz when she resigned. That left a small group of players to decide whether they were going to stay or leave as well.
Yeah, it was frustrating. We definitely had to take matters into our own hands for a while. As far as practices in the beginning of the season when we didn't have a coach, we would lead practices and we would do shooting and all that. And then we just had a lot of difficulty with, just figuring out who's going to be our coach, what's the next step going to be, if we're even going to be able to play games. But we held it down and we got it done.
I was pretty shocked. I wasn't really sure if I was going to stay or not. But after talking to the other 2 returners, I decided I would stay with them. And we kind of were just like, we're just going to hope for the best and see what happens. And we met Jason, and he said he would help us out. And we found some players, and we pulled through.
It was really definitely a big weight lifted off of all of our shoulders, I think, because going in every day to the gym, not really having a practice plan and just saying, you know what, let's work on some individual stuff and trying to do drills together, but not really having somebody there to kind of help guide us in the way that we probably should have needed, I guess, at that time. But so when we had somebody kind of step in and kind of guide us on what we needed to work on and just help us get better, it was really stress relieving, I guess.
Jason Hines was coaching his daughter's AAU team at East Wenatchee when Brett McGinnis called and asked if he'd help out with the Lady Knights program.
At that time, I have 2 daughters. I was coaching 8th grade AAU basketball and decided to give it a shot. He said they were a good group of girls and that he wouldn't ask me if he didn't think I could do it. So I appreciated the vote of confidence from Brett and talked to the athletic director at the time. He gave me a call, Kyle, and came up with a plan and was going to stay through mid-December was the plan initially. And then right after Thanksgiving, got a call from the vice president and saying that they had interviews for the position and they didn't have a viable candidate that they felt comfortable with. The panel didn't. And so asked me if I would stay on longer. And so that's where it's kind of morphed into, is I absolutely wanted to stay on with these girls.
Now, as you can imagine, having only 6 players on the roster provides plenty of challenges both in games and during practice.
They do really well together. They play hard. Practices are tough at times, but we do 3-on-3. We do individual working drills. We do finishing drills, defensive slides, defense drills. We get creative with 6 girls.
There's definitely not a lot of 5-on-5 play because there's only 6 of us. So we do 3-on-3. We do defensive stuff, individual, skill work, ball handling. We do a lot of shooting, which is paying off.
Offensively, it's not too difficult, but defensively, I think that's really where we kind of struggle, is practicing our defense, just because there's not really 5 other players to play against. Our offense, we can run it, we know what to do, but we don't know how well it's going to work. So it just kind of depends on how well we decide to run it.
With a regular team where you have 12 or 13 girls and you can scrimmage at practice and you have fresh legs going into games and stuff, definitely a different mindset with practice, with only having 6 girls. And even when we got into the regular season, how you're playing, 2 to 3 games a week, and usually in between you kind of still scrimmage with your teammates, but since we didn't have that many girls, we kind of take those days as recovery days now, more than anything, because 30 to 35 minutes a game per player, that's kind of heavy on physically, mentally, so our practices in between games are definitely more recovery based, I would say, this year.
You have one more chance to see the Super 6 play. That's tomorrow night at 5:30 at W.B. Smith Gymnasium. We'll have more on the men's program, trying for an Eastern Division title tomorrow here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley and on our evening sports. Seattle Kraken are back on the ice tonight in Toronto. Seattle's trying to bounce back from 2 losses over the weekend at Washington and Carolina. Kraken and Maple Leafs are underway on Root Sports Northwest. Also, the Wenatchee Wild host the Trail Smoke Eaters in BCHL hockey tomorrow night at 6 at the Town Toyota Center. We'll have more of the Wild tomorrow on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley with our good buddy, Art Checker. That's a look at sports news. I'm Eric Grantstrom. Grant, back to you.
Thank you very much, Eric. And now let's check in with Dan Kuntz for a look at what's coming up tomorrow morning on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan?
Thank you very much, Grant. Join me for a Wednesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We've been doing this every Wednesday since they started playing hockey. Wenatchee Wild. We'll talk with Art Checker and David Rayfield, preview Wenatchee Wild's week ahead. They'll be my guest on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. That very chilly weather forecast. Love the sunshine. Not a big fan of the temperatures, though. We'll get you the latest weather information, the latest news that you need from the bullpen, everything else that you need to start your day. We'd love to see you live and local. We're here every weekday morning at 7 a.m. for Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Grant, back to you.
Thanks a bunch, Dan, and that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.
The NCW Life channel offers marketing packages that help you build your brand and sell your products and services. From traditional TV ads to targeted digital campaigns, let us help you build your customer base. Call NCW Life channel today.
News, weather, and sports. It's all here weekdays at 5, 6, and 10 on your local news source, the NCW Life channel.